Welcome back to TTC Cars. I'm Brian.
I'm Craig.
And this week we've got something that, well, I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty excited about. This is the CX-70. I know your eyes are deceiving you, but it's not the 90, it's a 70. And you'll know that by distance from here to here is exactly the same.
Oh.
And the overhang from here to here is exactly the same.
Wait, what?
I know, but we'll get into that in a minute. But the biggest thing that I think is important, Craig, is you have updated wheels, which I think look really good.
Yes.
And come to the snout and the nose. This is the best looking configuration of the 7090s because it has these grills right here.
Yeah, that looks good.
They're simply for aesthetics. That's it. There's no cooling function from them. They don't have extra fans and that kind of stuff. But the 90 has just a flat panel here. This looks way better and sportier, I think. Big fan of it. You also get 0.4 of a degree more approach angle, which is minimal, but look, when you're doing any kind of off-roady stuff, this will do better. So there's that. Let's talk about the appearance, Craig, and let's talk about the Monroney. Let's get into it. This is a 2025 model. It is melting copper metallic. Look at that paint. And we're gonna talk about that a lot in a minute. Big fan of that. Interior color is red Napa leather. Ooh, that's kind of contrast in a weird way, but it's a nice interior. This one is actually the PHEV edition, which gives you the e-Skyactiv 323 horsepower, 369 torque with premium gasoline. Interesting. They don't tell us what it gets on 87, but they're saying on 91, that's the power it makes. This has the single clutch, wet clutch transmission, which is paired with the PHEV hybrid system. It's kind of funky. We'll get into that more in a minute, but coming around, looks are great. Headlights, as you know, best in the biz. They track really well at night and are extremely bright. Paint, I'm not sure if this camera's gonna get it, but Mazda has gotta be losing money in the paint shop. This looks incredible. Seriously. Look at the depth of the paint. It feels thick. I know that sounds silly, but it doesn't feel like this. I can't see textures behind it. And we've had some products that we've owned lately that I can see textures behind the paint. Tacoma. And so,
Brian, look how consistent this panel gap is.
Oh yeah, by the way, all the way down.
That's one of the harder things to do in any vehicle.
Exactly, and part of that is because, look over here, Craig, J-Spec, baby. This thing came from across the pond and it shows. Something else I like about this trim is you get the non-painted fender flare, which if you're gonna do anything near a tree, you're gonna appreciate that.
Plus, I think it looks more sporty. It looks good.
I do, I think it's a good looking car. Coming down to the wheels, here's the only issue if you are serious about off-roading, which this buyer really isn't. These are 21-inch wheels. That means a little tire and a lot bit of wheel, but that's okay. The primary buyer of this won't be wheeling it anyways, and these wheels look awesome. They've got multi-spoke design, and this extra bit of beef right here just looks incredibly durable. 275 45 21s. These are Toyo Open Country A50s. Good quiet highway tire, no complaints. They've got a 300 tread wear, A for temp, A for traction. So, no issues there. Side badging. You got the badging with a black chrome instead of a chrome. That's the next thing aesthetically, is they've basically blacked out the 70, whereas the 90 at this trim level would have satin chrome roof rails, it would have non-black painted door handles, and this would be bright chrome. Looks kind of weird.
What's your preference? You like the black or the chrome everywhere?
The black. Yeah.
Me too, I agree.
Yeah, I think for this body, it just wears it nicer. Well, it kind of feels like a mid-cycle refresh almost. It's not, it's 1 year after. They've seen some people black theirs out and go, that's a good look, let's try that. On all of these CX-70s, you have a black door handle. We learned this when I went to the unveiling in Los Angeles for this, to view this thing. Those will always be black mirror cap as well. That's across the board. Coming down the back, we have a fuel door. This is a big fuel door, by the way. And that's because in other countries, you can have a diesel. That's why they do this. It is a capped system, which is kind of silly. A cap also definitely be preferred, especially with a locking door like this. You don't have to worry about any of that. And right here, it says Premium Recommande. Super Recommande, which tells you they want 91 octane, but you can run 87 safely, no concerns. Coming out back, it looks very, very similar to the 90, but again, you get extra vents right here. They're just for looks, but they look great. Big fan of that. You also have a kind of a gray painted piece in the middle here that matches the front lip of this. All right, coming around down to our secondary power source. Yeah, it's got twin fuel entries. This one's a little bit different though. It's not liquid, it is electric. Pretty cool right there. It's good for a level 2 charger at our house. And this thing charges from 0 to 30 miles of range in what we saw 2 hours.
That's convenient. That's
the beauty of PHEV. All that out of the way, let's see what this 4-popper sounds like. Oh yeah, baby. Dual exhaust and 2.5 liters of Fury. Sounding good up front. What about back here, Greg?
Sound awesome. Needs racing beat.
My man. Let's check it under the hood. All right, let's check on this hood. Ooh, she is damp, which makes her feel nice and, oh, it keeps going. It keeps, okay. Wow, look at that opening.
That's how you open a hood.
Hello, everyone else. Try that out for once. Big fan of that. Under this thing, let's pop the engine cover. One of my favorite engine covers in the market. Silly thing to know.
It's the most delicate and unique one.
Look at this. And if the hood wasn't all the way up, you could latch it. Oh, you still can. Look at that. Now,
this mid-engine car?
well, this is actually a front mid-engine. What I mean by is here, right here, and look at the center cap of the wheels is right here. It's actually in line with the front of the timing cover. That's incredible. Now, if you had the inline six, it's the same architecture of this motor, but it comes out 2 more cylinders this way and also ditches the hybrid part behind it. We're in the 4-cylinder version, and well, actually almost all the motor is behind the front axle. That makes it technically a front mid-engine, which goes to the origins of this thing with Dave Coleman. The damn thing's got a handle if his name's on it. That's how they get it done.
Brian, only Mazda would do this. No one else would do this.
You're never gonna find this with Telluride, Atlas. Well, really, the closest thing that might do this is the BMW X5, and they don't do it as well as this in terms of engine placement. I've seen that thing a lot too. All that covered, 323 horsepower, 369 foot-pounds of torque. It's paired to a single clutch, wet clutch, 8-speed, which messes with the interior packaging a little bit, but you do get this benefit of it being so far back. Part of that is because this was meant to be a Mazda 6 originally, and the sedan market died, so Mazda had to do something else. This is where we're at with that platform, and there's a lot of benefits from that. So, all that covered, let's check out the interior with Craig.
All right, Brian, a new Mazda and a new interior, because this is not the CX-90, Brian. It is different. Probably the biggest difference is right where we're going. Let's check it out. Let's see. Brian, you were there at the launch. You explained some things to me, and I want to show the people. You get all this room back here because there's no third row. Now, one would say, well, didn't you get all this room when you would fold the third row down in the CX-90? And one would say, yes, you're correct, except that you get a little bit more room here. So the CX-90, if you remember right, our old reviews, yeah, it came a little farther in.
Correct.
So there's a little more space there if you were going to overland or whatever. And Brian, let's fold one of these seats down because we got a car seat in the other one. Now, look at all that room. It does stay flat. That's very nice. In fact, I'm going to lay down here for you so you can see. I mean, look, this is actually pretty good.
So, like, even the Toyota Land Cruiser doesn't account for a flat floor.
Right.
So you can do a straight up sleeping bag situation back here if you're going to go camping or hiking and that kind of stuff. That's something the 90 does not do. It's not flat like that.
Exactly. So that's pretty cool. In fact, that's not nothing, because the other thing you can do, Brian, is when you're back here, you can leave your fridge plugged in, a 1500 watt outlet, because it's a hybrid.
That's a lot.
That's one of the advantages, and you get another plug over here, which the CX-90 does not have. That's unique to the CX-70. Now, this one says only 150 watts. Don't know if that's a pre-pro thing, typo, don't know, but we'll see.
Well, I think it's 150 over here. This is a standard plug, and this is the extra plug.
Right, and then you get, of course, another outlet there as well. Underneath here, Brian, you get about the same as far as jack storage and that sort of thing. And there's a spare tire underneath.
Oh, there's more.
But there's more. If I flip it up again, I get some foam built-in storage. But Brian, there's more. There's more storage up front, which is very interesting. You could put a lot of goodies, sleeping gear, who knows, whatever, utensils. You could overlay it in this.
Yeah, in the 90, you don't get any of that storage.
So, I mean, it is something.
It's not nothing, for sure.
To the second row.
Deal.
All right, Brian, let's check out the second row. Brian, this is a massive door, kind of like the hood. I guess when they designed this car, they want to make sure everything opened up really far. I love that.
That's fantastic.
Plenty of room for ingress and egress. And Brian, because this is maybe more an overlander and we're waiting for the Meridian edition, there's a little step here, and then you climb up top. Now you can reach your rooftop tent if you wanted to.
By the way, you've got a proper rail. You can actually put a basket or tent up here, no problem.
That's pretty good. Now, Brian, I will say this before I actually get in. Payload capacity on this particular model, hybrid's probably lower.
Yeah.
850 pounds.
Ooh.
Curious what the non-hybrid is. That would be something to look into.
You know, if you have 4 big humans, you're already over it, right?
Well, that's why you overland with just by yourself.
Okay.
All right, Brian, we're done with our tent. Let's get in the actual seat. In fact, the seat itself is that beautiful red Napa, specific to the CX-70. Hasn't been used since the Mazda 3 was launched. So that's really nice. That's the first time we've seen it again. I'm glad it's back. It is an interesting pairing with the melting copper, though. I will say that. That's an interesting combo. Don't know if I've ever seen that combo. I'm proud of Mazda for being bold in their color choices. More car companies need to be bold in their color choices.
Amen.
All right, let's get in the actual seat. Let's see how comfy we can get. Brian, pretty comfy. It's about the same as the CX-90, honestly. The seats do go fore and aft, although not as helpful in a 2-row, but still nice to have that option. But Brian, you do get a little bit more reclining space. Is that correct?
Yeah, you get 15 degrees now, and the old one would not do that.
This is, you know, probably a proper posture, but then you can actually pimp it out, and that's, now, Brian, you actually have some headroom. In fact, let's see if you have enough.
Here we go. I'm sitting behind myself, so the seat is back pretty far. The driver's seat's behind the B pillar. And let's see if there's any recline that can help. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Oh, man. Yeah, this is good. This is really good.
Yeah, you could actually ride in this and not be
cross country, no problem.
And you have a moonroof or a panoramic roof. That's nice to have.
And I've got a hat and glasses on, and I'm not hitting anything. This is bueno.
Okay, quite impressed. Before we go to the front, Brian, we do get tri-zone climate control, just like the CX-90, and you get just a beautiful finished trim everywhere in this vehicle. That's really nice.
And heated seats in the back.
And heated seats in the back, mat pockets in the back because we're overlanding, and plenty of cup holders in the doors to the front. All right, Brian, let's get to the front and check things out. Before we do, let's start with the door. You know my favorite part. The door sill is padded in the back and the front, Brian. That's really nice.
You and your fragile elbows.
Look, they're fragile. And look, you get the nice Bose tweeter up top there, and you get nice, interesting trim pieces. I like whatever carbon fiber-ish look we're going for. It looks good. And then, of course, the red Napa in the door panel itself. A nice padded armrest. Do wish there was a spot to put your phone somewhere here. No cubby to put your phone, and that would be nice. Well, I'll show you why that's important here in a minute. You do get bottle holders down at the bottom of the door, and that's nice. But let's get into this seat and just see. Let's see how comfortable it is. Look, it's just like a CX-90, which means it's super comfortable is what it means.
Amen.
And that it is. Taking it off jumbo and putting it on normal, and yeah, this is a comfortable spot to be. But Brian, here's the problem. I've got my coffee here and I've got my trash here, and so I'm driving along and I need to put my phone somewhere, but I've got my Brian's wallet here. Where do I put anything else?
You're being a baby about this, and I figured it out. You can just set it here and actually rest well, but it is kind of goofy. The other option is you plug it in here, close it, and use the CarPlay, which is excellent.
Okay, but then the passenger gets them. Where do they put their stuff? In here too?
Yeah, they're substandard. That doesn't matter.
Fair enough. I mean, that's an answer and that's a solution. So that's what we're here for. We give you solutions. Brian, let's start this bad boy up and let's see what we got. I do love these gauges. They're great. The only thing I don't like, and maybe you figured out, or maybe they've updated it, when you put it in cruise control.
I've not figured it out. It still does it.
Okay. So
Yep.
What happens is, and I don't know if I can show it here, if I hit the cruise control button, the gauges change, and I'll lose the dials, and I get this whatever's going on here, and turn cruise control off. I go back to dials. Why can't I put cruise control on and keep these dials? Because these dials are crisp and look great. I love the design of them.
Go to sport mode, by the way.
Okay, we go into sport mode.
It's the My Drive.
Right here, My Drive. We hit sport.
Now let the gauges change.
Okay, now we're in sport.
So we're
in red.
Your
Yes.
power and charge gauge becomes a normal tachometer, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, that's pretty
nice.
cool. I like that a lot. But then we go to cruise control mode and we lose it all.
Yeah, but you keep your tach.
Okay, well, there's that. Okay. And speaking of modes, we do get normal, EV, and off-road. I do like that you can specify you want EV only until you run out of juice. That's really nice and handy.
That. Yep.
And then, Brian, the controversial screen here. Some people like it, some people don't. I personally love it because I think it's out of the way. And you don't have to, because of this wonderful dial.
Yeah.
Yes, it is touchscreen. If you're in CarPlay, you can use the touchscreen. Just use this. What happens even in CarPlay, you get used to this so much, you don't get a bunch of fingerprints on there. I like that a lot. You?
Yeah, let's roll on this real quick. We've argued with Mazda about this over dinner several times. They've done the homework. This is better. It is less distracting to use the knob. But we know that most people go, why can't I touch the screen? They want to have that, so they fix it. They've just given you both.
Yeah, they've given you both. They've listened and they've responded. But enough of all that, Brian. Let's check the 0 to 60 times. I'm hoping this thing's maybe a little faster. All right, Brian, I know it's nice not zoom anymore.
That's true. It's true.
But this PHEV did pretty good in the CX-90.
It did.
This has one less row, so maybe it's lighter, maybe it's faster, but it's hot today. Hit it.
Load it, sport mode, dump it. There it goes.
Okay, shove. There's that vibration.
Not now, though. It's beefy. 60 miles an hour. What you got?
Oh, whoa. With me in the car, 6.9?
There we go. Come on. Slow clap. Slow clap.
Wow.
Without you in it, 6.40, which is our personal best in the PHEV 90/70 segment. Why get the Turbo 6?
What, you serious? I mean,
well,
it's a little faster.
But barely.
But not much faster, and you get all the extra fuel mileage.
Right.
Functionality of the 1500 watt inverter.
We're going to do that in a minute.
My goodness.
The biggest thing to me is that of all of the variants we've driven so far, and part of that is this is the second year, right? This has the least amount of powertrain weirdness going on.
True.
So that we felt a hint of vibration when it was dumping torque from the EV motor and from the 2.5 natural aspirated four-cylinder.
It's full load. Yeah.
The 3.3 inline 6 is less refined feeling than this, though.
It is.
By a notable margin. So that's all I'm going to say in that. If I were to take a pick, it'd be this one. Right?
I guess the thing is, yeah, you're downgraded to a 4-cylinder instead of a 6-cylinder here. But this 4-cylinder turbo, Mazda's been putting in everything for years.
Tried and true.
And they kind of know what they're doing, and it's a good motor. It's a good base motor that goes with a hybrid.
Its roots go back to the Miata.
So many hybrid pairings, the gas motor is either Atkinson cycle, or it's not as big, or it's not not as...
Or CVT doing weird stuff.
This isn't doing any of that.
It's not doing any of that weird stuff. And look, we've had issues with this powertrain from conception. I'm telling you right now that they've made improvements.
Absolutely.
And it's not surprising. Not surprising. We predicted this. They predicted this. We had, for those that don't recall, when we drove this thing in San Fran, or was it Sonoma, the first time in the 90 variant, we had a major powertrain shudder. And their lone right for that had a similar situation. This one is ownable. It is buyable. I'm at a point where I'm like, yeah, no, this is fine.
Okay, ride and drive, Brian. Any different than the CX-90?
Exactly the same.
Okay, very good.
Mazda is steering really well. That is the same thing here. It weights up so naturally. It's like your fingertips are on the ground. It's so great. I like that.
Two things, Brian.
Yep.
Number one, I really wish there was a Meridian edition. I wish we could get 18s, a little bit of a lift, maybe a better nose, and nothing else, really. That's all I need.
Just a little bit.
Because
18s would be enough.
I think this would be a wonderful alternative to so many things out there in that the Passport Trail Sport.
Sure.
This would be fun to compete against that, and it just can't. Because
well, hold on. If they're going to do that, though, I want them to be serious about it. I want a couple skid plates in the right places.
Yes.
And I want this powertrain dialed in with some mode to work in high temp crawling situations, which they can do it. I know they can.
Basically, what I'm asking for is Genesis and Mazda to make off-road versions of the GV70 and then the CX-70.
Two great cars. Yeah.
Would those not be fun?
Amazing.
Okay. That said, though, this is great. Another question for you, Brian. Would you get the CX-70 over the CX-90, and why?
Yes, because aesthetics alone. And two, because I don't prioritize a third row seat, because the third row is not that big in here anyways. It's one of those third row in a pinch cars, which is a benefit for if you need it at the time you need it. But the rest of the time, I might actually go camping in this.
All right.
In the flat floor, I wouldn't bring a tent. I just sleep in here.
Exactly.
That's a real benefit. I think the nose looks so much better, and the blacking out of the chrome, it's like subtle things. It looks so much more dialed. It feels like a refreshed car compared to the 90 and how much they've done.
This is a great alternative pick to the BMW X5 out there. Yeah. Its biggest problem out there is the Genesis GV70, but this is really good.
Yeah, and I wouldn't blame you going either way on it. I really wouldn't. The last thing I want to get into is MPG a little bit. And you've spent time with this before. I lived with this one this week, but you've driven the PHEV. In your experience, because let's explain this a little bit. I'm driving it as a hybrid. I'm getting 23 miles a gallon.
Right.
But when I do EV mode work on that, I'm getting 99.9 miles a gallon because it doesn't read beyond that because it's EV almost the entire route.
Right. And I know everybody's like, well, that's not real because it's EVs, that doesn't really count. No, it does count because miles per gallon is just figuring how many miles you can go on gallons of fuel.
Yeah, droplets per mile.
We're not talking about MPGE, we're talking about miles per gallon. And so, yeah, no, you actually, that's a real number.
A real number.
And the EV thing, it costs some money to charge it. I'm not going to lie. In fact, we've kind of learned it's about the same as a gallon of gas, usually.
Depending where you're at in the country.
Depending on where you're at in the country, of course. But the benefit of this one is it charges so quick, so you don't spend a lot of juice charging it.
If you do a level 2 like we have at home, it takes 2 hours. If you do a 110 like wall plug, you plug it when you get home at night, the next morning it's been done for several hours.
Or if you just forget to charge it, you just drive it.
You just drive on gas, and it's just like a normal good crossover. Anyways, that's all I really have to it. I think it's a solid option. I like the refinement they've done in year one. It doesn't look like very much on paper, but when I look at this compared to the 90, it just seems more dialed.
Subtle details.
Subtle stuff.
And look, that's what we love about Mazda. They're a small car manufacturing company, but they make good stuff and they keep making it better. With that, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let us know if you would get the CX-90 or the CX-70 and why you got it over something else. Thanks for watching.